Today's episode is all about the second trimester. I love the second trimester, minus one of my babies where I didn't get much relief from morning sickness. However, the second trimester is such a breath of fresh air. So join me and listen in to an Instagram live that I did all about second trimester, what to expect, and what it's going to be like. Hello, beautiful mamas. How are you guys today? Super excited to be here teaching about the second trimester. And I'm going to tell you why. The second trimester is my favorite part of the pregnancy. First trimester for me was always filled with sickness, exhaustion, boobs hurting, sickness. So I love the second trimester. I'm good, thank you. So here's what I want you guys to do. We did this last week when we talked about the first trimester. I want my mamas who are on here who have been pregnant before or are in the third trimester and past the second trimester to watch these questions coming in and share your insights with these mamas, because I'm going to be teaching. I've got some notes so I stay on track, and we are going to talk all about the second trimester. Again, I want you guys to take a minute and drop an emoji for your trimester. So 1 pregnant mama for first, 2 for second, and 3 for third. Yes, Jalen, I got my dark fall color going on. So I just did it yesterday, so I'm having a hard time even looking at myself without getting distracted. So we're going to talk all about second trimester. The second trimester of pregnancy is week 13 to the 26th. Now, some things you'll read will fluctuate, but somewhere around then. So for me, the week 13 was like magical because I knew my days of sickness were coming to a halt. However, I will say that one of my babies, I was sick until she came out of me. And I've only been pregnant with 1 girl, so guess who it was? One of my favorite things about the second trimester is it usually marks the end of nausea and vomiting and morning sickness / all-day sickness. So for a lot of moms, also, you start feeling better emotionally and physically. It's like the second trimester of pregnancy is like what I call my baby number 2, my son number 2. It's like a breath of fresh air. Baby number 1 came in, was craziness. Typical number 1 baby. Number 2 baby, breath of fresh air. So easy, laid back. Anybody pregnant with number 2, I'm giving you a lot of good wishes because baby number 2, they are the best. They're so easy. And baby number 2 births are so much easier. Anyway, I just saw someone said she's hitting the third trimester tomorrow. Oh, Jalen. Yay. One of my students who joined. Jalen, I believe you joined during the last Fearless Birth Experience, which we're starting our next Fearless Birth Experience Monday. We are teaching 5 new classes. The first class is labor pain, which we teach every time, but we're doing it a little bit different, but the same because it's labor pain. But one of my superpowers is really helping you guys convert your fear, flip your fear into excitement and confidence. So we're doing labor pain. I'm adding a little twist to it. We are doing labor coping, which we're going to teach some different skills than we taught last time. We're going to be talking about pain management plans. If you need an epidural, should you not? Side effects of epidurals. I'm going to walk you through how they place the epidural and tips for the epidural placement and just creating your pain management plan in general. And then we're also doing the live Q&A with me where we're going to talk about communicating. We're going to talk about fears and how to address them. We're doing a new pushing class. I'm going to talk about my favorite pushing positions and how to be powerful while pushing, what to expect, but I'm also going to go over a few of my favorite tips for preventing tearing. So that is next week, Monday through Friday. It's live. You have to sign up, and then you'll get access to our private pop-up Facebook group. Think of like a pop-up shop, like a pop-up shop that comes into town, pops up on the side of the street, like in one of those mobile vans or something. It's a pop-up Facebook group, temporary just for this experience. We'll let everyone in on Sunday, September 11th, around 3 o'clock. We'll open the doors and start having some fun. I'm going to go live on Sunday night inside the Facebook group. And then Monday through Friday, I'm going to live stream into the group and teach every night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then if you're a VIP mom, so here people keep saying, do I have to have Facebook? You have to have Facebook to come live. However, if you upgrade to a VIP mama, which is the Facebook group link and the VIP link is on the thank you page once you sign up. If you upgrade, you get access to all the recordings for a lifetime, plus an extra workbook and worksheets. And you also get 3 live happy hour hangouts with me and my team doula next week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'll be doing a live hangout. So if you don't have a Facebook, upgrade to a VIP. Now, the other exciting news is that the birth classes will be on sale next week. You can get $10 off by using the code FEARLESS. Or if you're a VIP mama, you're going to get a special code to get $20 off. So we're so excited. We can't wait. We love live launches. I love teaching live. I love it. Even though everyone who's been to my classes know that I am technically challenged, but they love me anyway and they forgive me. All right, so let's talk about the second trimester. All right, so we've talked about the weeks that it represents, which is 13 to 26. I'm making sure I'm staying on task. I made myself a checklist. So what happens to your body? Your uterus is obviously growing, which is one of my other favorite parts of second trimester, which means that belly's getting nice and rounded and there's no more, is she pregnant? Is she not pregnant? Do these people know I'm pregnant? Or do they just think I'm rubbing my belly? Like you're starting to look actually pregnant, which for me, I loved it. You're going to feel some discomforts and aches and pains and some ligaments growing. As those ligaments stretch and your uterus gets bigger and the baby is getting bigger. Another side effect that some people don't expect, which you may have already experienced with your boobs, is as that skin stretches, it might itch. So I just did a reel that we're going to publish on my new favorite lotion for that stretching skin on your abdomen and your breast, and it's called Bio Oil. If you go to my link in bio on Instagram, you're going to find our Amazon shop, and we have it broken down pretty cool. So you can find the Bio Oil there. One of my students recommended it, and I bought it, and I love it so much, it has replaced my old favorite for stretch marks and itchy skin. It is very runny though, so if you buy the Bio Oil, make sure you know that it comes out and it's very runny. Okay, some women, like I said, their skin is stretching. They might start to get stretch marks, so make sure that you're moisturizing your belly, your tummy. Your breasts might get stretch marks, so moisturizing. They usually fade with time, but for some women, they get a lot more and some women don't. Believe it or not, I've had 7 pregnancies and I don't have one stretch mark on my stomach. I got them on my hips and my bottom. Now, during the second trimester, like I said, your uterus is growing, so you want to start sleeping on your side. If you're sleeping on your back, the weight of your uterus will put pressure on the vein that brings blood to your lower half of your body and back up to your heart. So we don't want to interfere with circulation. That's really important. So a lot of moms will be like, do I have to sleep completely on one side or the other? No, you can sleep on either side. What I recommend is if you're not a big side sleeper and you're constantly finding yourself waking up on your back, then you can wedge pillows on either side of you. So if you roll this way, you're going to be propped on that pillow. If you roll that way, you're going to be propped. So you won't be completely on your back because you're going to have them on either side. So you're not flat. As long as you're tilted, you're not flat. So it does not mean you have to be completely rolled over to one side or the other. Just make sure you're not flat on your back, especially as that uterus is growing. Now, one thing I know a lot of us start struggling with, especially if you were sick in the first trimester and now you're not, you're going to be concerned about weight gain. I want you guys to let that go. I know there's so much focus about weight gain during pregnancy, and here's what I want to say to you. Just eat healthy. You can still have your cravings, girl. You can still have those things, just in moderation. I tell my little guy all the time, it's what we do in moderation. We can do a lot of things, but are we doing it in moderation? So just eat healthy, eat a good diet, a well-rounded diet, and then you can have your cravings. But also get moving, go on a daily walk. If you were exercising before pregnancy and you found yourself like slacking off in first trimester because of exhaustion or sickness, then now's the time to pick back up, but take it easy on yourself because your body is different and your center of gravity is going to be off. So really think wisely and talk to your provider about different types of exercises or activities. You want to be safe. Now, that being said, when I was pregnant with number 3, I rollerbladed every day. Looking back, I don't think I ever talked to my provider about it, but holy smokes, I can't believe I did that. I could have fell so easily, but I was young. Okay, so again, baby is growing, uterus is growing, and your blood volume is growing. So that accounts for some of your weight gain. So some of that weight gain, even if my mamas are really sick, you're still going to gain weight during the second trimester because of the baby, the blood volume, and the weight of the uterus. I always tell my girls, no matter how sick you are, like obviously we're going to have to give you nutrients and make sure that you are getting what you need, but baby's going to take what they need first. It's you that's going to really suffer in the long run from an unhealthy diet or not getting enough nutrients or calories. So really take care of your body. Mom self-care starts right now. I want you guys to remember you're so important and valuable to this baby, and you need to care for yourself because your hair, your skin, your nails, your bones will all suffer if you're not eating a healthy diet during pregnancy. And then once you have the baby, if you're breastfeeding, you need to continue. I was actually hungrier when I was breastfeeding than when I was pregnant. Okay, so again, most or many of your early pregnancy signs are diminishing now. Some women, not so much. It really just depends. Like I said, for one of my pregnancies, I was sick all the way to the minute she came out of me. Another good thing about second trimester is that smells are probably not driving you completely crazy now. That was so hard for me. During first trimester, smells will make you queasy and feel horrible. And second trimester, that usually tapers off. So that's a good thing. And other things might taste better. Like maybe during the first trimester, you couldn't handle coffee and you are a coffee lover, or you couldn't handle things that you normally would love. And now it's tasting normal again to you. Now, your breasts, they probably got really big and really tender during the first trimester. For me, I know a lot of times they say they will taper off a little bit and then start getting bigger again towards the end. But for me, mine just kept growing. My friends would joke and say that I was having triplets. So your breasts may slow down, but they are going to get bigger and fuller, obviously. But again, my favorite thing about your body changing during second trimester is that belly rounding out and getting bigger, and the feeling of the baby moving. So for most mamas, I'm going off track on my list. I don't even know why I make a list to stay on track. So baby now is starting to weigh more. They're typically around like 7.5 centimeters. And by, let me see, I made some notes. Week 13, they're around 30 grams. But at the end of the second trimester, like this is mind-boggling. They are over 800 grams. So from 30 grams to 800 grams in the second trimester, that is a lot of growth. And then we're going to do third trimester next week, and it's crazy the amount of growth and how fast those babies grow. So what's really cool about movement and feeling movement, for most first-time moms, you might feel the first signs of movement around 19 weeks. For second-time moms or more, you might feel them sooner. And if you have an anterior placenta, which means your placenta in the front, you might feel them later, and when the baby's bones are more developed and they're stronger, harder kicks and movements. So for those first movements, they usually feel like little gas bubbles, like if you have carbonation in your belly. is what it feels like. So for those of you who are listening in, who are a second-time mom or have already started feeling the baby move, I want you to share with us like what that felt like so these other moms can see descriptions from other moms who have felt it, because you might describe it in a way that this mama listening understands, where they might not understand gas bubbles. But for me, it always started feeling very faint, like little tiny gas bubbles. And then those movements will get so much stronger during the second trimester. What I loved about the second trimester is they can do somersaults and all sorts of big movements, which are just amazing and fascinating. So usually your partner will be able to feel the movement from the outside. I believe for me, and I'm totally going by memory, maybe 22, 23 weeks, somewhere around then. And you guys can drop that in the comments as well when your partner felt it. So remember, it's going to start like little gas bumbles or little tickling on the inside or little butterfly flutterings is what some people say. Your baby's organs are continuing to develop. The liver, the pancreas, the kidneys will all start functioning during the second trimester. And what's really amazing, and we're going to talk about what to expect from your doctor's appointments, but one thing that's really cool about babies is they might start sucking their thumb, which when you see that on the ultrasound, it's amazing. It's the sweetest little thing. Another thing is your baby's beginning to be able to hear during the second trimester. So I remember I was telling my students that I remember with Grayson, I went to the doctor's appointment and it was beginning of my second trimester. I don't know, maybe 15, 16 weeks. And you know those metal trays they have in a doctor's office? Someone that was with me, my kids, I don't remember, dropped something on the metal tray, but we had the ultrasound video up on the big screen TV. And when they dropped it onto the metal tray, my baby inside looked visibly startled. And it was so mind-boggling to see the connection from the outside to the inside. So they're going to be able to hear sounds, they hear your heartbeat, and they're starting to recognize your voice and your partner's voice. So that's really cool. So have your partner talk to your belly, you talk to your belly. Fun fact, my baby number 3 was the only baby that I consistently played music on my tummy. So I bought this like thing that you could hook to your belly and play. And I played Mozart, I played country, I played rock, I played Van Halen, I played Van Morrison, I played everything, old school, new school, everything. And that child is my musician. Fun fact. I don't know if that's why, but I like to say. Now, one thing about second trimester we're going to talk about is some things that you can do and some that you can expect. And I've got my little list to go down. We talked about eating well, exercising, but also getting rest, because sometimes third trimester comes along with a bang and you have a hard time getting comfortable and getting as much rest as you need. So start establishing good sleep patterns right now during the second trimester. All right, so prenatal visits. You're going to continue to do what you're already doing, which is going to the prenatal visits. You're going to get your urine dipped. You're going to get your blood pressure, your weight gain. You're going to get just a general assessment. Your doctor's going to talk to you, how you're doing, and they're going to check the size of your uterus by measuring from the pelvic bone to the top of your uterus. Am I saying that right? I think so. The height of your fundus. So the top of your uterus is called your fundus. Fun term to learn now. They're also going to listen to the baby's heartbeat to make sure everything's going well, because the baby's heartbeat is what tells us that baby is doing well. Baby's movement is what tells you baby is doing well. But with baby's movement, they do not really recommend until 28 weeks that you start doing fetal kick counts. So we'll talk about that next time. You're also going to schedule your anatomy scan, which is so amazing. That is usually done around your 20-week mark and between 18 to 22, but we call it the 20-week anatomy scan. And they're going to just measure the baby. They're going to check the organs that they're developing correctly, check your amniotic fluid, and also possibly tell you what gender baby you're having, the sex of the baby. You also are going to have your dreaded glucose screening, which most mamas, I don't know why, but we get so freaked out about it, don't we? Like I see it with my students every week. We have someone who's prepping for that. Want to just give you a heads up that a lot of women fail the 1 hour. and then past the 3 hour, including me. I failed the 1 hour and passed the 3 hours. So if you fail the 1 hour, don't freak out. It's okay. Another fun tip that I've learned from my students. So inside of Calm Labor, Confident Birth and the VBAC Lab, we hang out every week. We do a weekly Zoom call, which we affectionately call our happy hour. And I have learned so much from my moms, from my students, because I typically will labor you and then pass you on to a postpartum nurse at about 2 hours. So for me to hang out with all these mamas and really get like the insider track from pregnant moms and postpartum moms has been really cool. And one of the things that I learned is to ask for the lime drink instead of the orange. So there's an insider tip from my students straight to you guys. Apparently it tastes much better and it's easier to tolerate. There are some healthy alternatives. There's also the fresh test, which is a new test that you can ask your provider. So you want to start doing that around like 14, 15 weeks, talking to your provider about alternatives, which I am 100% about it, so that you don't have to drink that glucola drink. It's horrible. But the thing about the glucose screening that I want you guys to remember, and I tell my students all the time, is that we need to know. Don't dread the test. This is part of knowledge is power. So if you have gestational diabetes, you need to know because you need to control it. You need to take care of it. And I know a lot of you guys really dread the results. And if you find out that you do have it, that you have gestational diabetes, then you feel like you've done something wrong or, oh my gosh, this is too much on my plate. But I want you guys to know that knowledge is always power. One step further, you have to apply that knowledge. So even with my birth classes, like I can teach you everything, but if you don't use it, it's not really power. So if you get a diagnosis of gestational diabetes, if you're one of my students, come to happy hour because we talk about different ways to control that. I've had some students give me amazing tips and resources that I'm able to share with you guys. But if you do have gestational diabetes, it's not the end of the world, but you really do have to take charge of your diet and your lifestyle habits. Okay, so some other things to consider in the second trimester before we hop off of here. One, you want to make a checklist of what you need to be getting done during this trimester and towards the end of the pregnancy. So at the beginning of your second trimester, you guys can talk about, are you going to share the gender of the baby? Because a lot of people do their gender reveal party and share. Some people don't, and some people don't find out. And more power to you. I never had that amount of self-control. I am very type A. I like to know and be prepared. But that and not seeing a chiropractor during pregnancy, which is my next thing I'm going to say, are one of my biggest regrets. I wish I had gone to a chiropractor during pregnancy, and I wish that I had at least with 1 out of 7 not found out the gender. I didn't. Another thing to start considering now is different ways that you can prepare for birth and prepare your body. Like I said, going to a chiropractor, asking for a physical therapist referral. Aches and pains of pregnancy is normal, but it doesn't have to be accepted just because it's part of pregnancy. Take control and take some actions to help. So pelvic pain, back pain, ligament pain, all of those things you can do something about. You don't have to just say, oh, this is part of being pregnant. That's what we used to say, and it's not right. Find a pregnancy certified, they're Webster certified chiropractor, and go get some adjustments. And then even a physical therapist if you're having some pain issues. And that might occur more towards the end of second trimester. We're going to talk more about that next week and third trimester. Start thinking about your leave from work, how you're going to approach that, when you're going to take your leave, what is your partner going to do if you're fortunate enough to live outside of America. You might actually have an option for that. And then what is your lifestyle habits that you may have to change after baby comes, because it does change. Like, start mentally preparing for that, because during the second trimester, typically emotionally, most women feel a little calmer, less anxious. Those birth fears haven't amped up yet. And so this is why I love when you guys join our birth classes in the first or second trimester, so that we can be there before those fears creep in and have you prepared to flip the mindset. And we're going to talk about birth fears next week. Again, we're doing 5 days to a fearless birth experience, 5 free workshops, plus a bonus VBAC class next week. So don't miss out on that. The link should be in my stories for you guys. If not, it's in my link in bio. But next week, I'm going to come on live and teach about the 3rd trimester. And I want you guys to remember right now, the 2nd trimester for some women you may find an increase in anxiety. And we had this amazing talk yesterday on our happy hour because we have a mom who she's actually in the beginning of her 3rd trimester, but she started having panic attacks and anxiety during her pregnancy. And I want you guys to know you don't have to sit in that. Go and ask for help. Talk to your provider. Figure out some ways to cope and come up with a plan to handle that if you find that happening. Some women have that. Some women, they feel fantastic emotionally during 2nd trimester. Either way, it's normal and it's okay. Just make sure that you are taking care of you because you are so important. Again, the last thing I want to talk about is birth classes. Now, I recommend, my birth class is a little different than other ones because you have lifetime access, but you also get to hang out with us weekly on a happy hour where you have access to me. I am a long-time labor and delivery nurse, mama of 7, and Taylor McKay, she's a mama and she's also a doula. So you have access to us both inside of our community and weekly on our happy hours. So typically what I tell everyone is if you're taking just a traditional birth class, then you want to start considering which class you're going to take at the end of your 2nd trimester. If you're taking a class like mine, which includes hangouts and access to a labor nurse and doula, then take it whenever. I have girls that start when they are trying to conceive, and we love that because we get to hang out with you even longer, and we love our girls. They become like a part of our heart. So that is my tip for you. Now, if you're planning on joining one of the labor nurse mama birth classes, whether it's Calm Labor Confident Birth class, the VBAC lab, or our belly birth masterclass, wait till next week because like I said, we're going to have the code FEARLESS that you can get $10 off, plus you'll get our postpartum class for free. If you're a VIP mama, you're going to get a special code to get $20 off plus the postpartum class for free. And we do that during each fearless birth experience. So if you're watching this later or listening to this later, you know that if we usually do them every couple months. So we usually do bonuses during each fearless birth experience because we open up the classes for a live enrollment. And the reason I do that is you come, you hang out with me, you see my teaching style, you see my strengths, you see my flaws, and you'll know, can you hang out with me? Is this the right teacher for me? Is her teaching style right for me? And is this the type of class I want to take? So we give you just a little bit of an example. All right, you guys, I try to keep these under 30 minutes. If you know me well, if you're one of my students, you know I'm a talker. So that is hard for me, which is why I have to make a list so I don't go off on my tangents or onto my little soapboxes. All right, let me see if anyone had a question. Yay, thank you. She said she's not pregnant anymore, but definitely still here. Love your content, so helpful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I took the Fearless Birth class. It taught me so much information and how to advocate for myself. Yay! Leanna, hello. It's so fun when I recognize names that from who started to get to know me during the Fearless Birth experience. I joined during the first Fearless Birth experience. Everyone needs to take advantage of this awesome 5-day workshop. Yes. Sign up. Now, one thing we don't do, because we want you to come live, is that if you join, you have to join the pop-up Facebook group to access the live streams. If you don't have Facebook, which, girl, I get you, because Facebook can be crazy, then sign up for the event and then join as a VIP mom. You'll get access to all the recordings. Plus, as a VIP mama, you get $20 off one of our birth courses if you decide to take that next step with us. And you get the free postpartum class if you do that. Plus, you get to hang out with us for 3 happy hours next week where we just hang out. I say for an hour, but sometimes we stay on longer, which you can come and go as pleased. But we try to check in with each of you, get to know each of you, find out what your birth fears are and how we can walk that with you. So we love our happy hours. Let's see. Anybody else have a question or something they want to share? Let me see. Yes, my boobs have been so itchy. Oh my goodness, it's insane. Your boobs and your belly. So insane. I used bio oil with my first and loved it. Yes, I just bought it a couple weeks ago to try it out because my students kept raving about it. And I love it so much that I made a reel yesterday. Corny reel, very simple, but I think that pregnant women should know about bio oil. It's amazing. All right, let's see what else. I'm not sure what that says. That might be another language. Is it normal to have severe swelling in one foot after birth? No, I would call your provider and report that to them just to be on the safe side. Anything that, especially if it comes up suddenly. So just go ahead and report that to your provider. That would make me feel a lot better as well. All right, let's see. I'm glad I scrolled through here. It's so difficult when you're pregnant or you're postpartum because so many things are normal. But I always tell my girls it doesn't hurt to touch base with your provider and ask them. And then they can say, oh no, I feel pretty confident in that. Or they can say, hey, come in and let me take a look at you and see what's going on. All right, that's what we're paying for, right? Jalen said she cannot eat chicken. I am so sorry, Jalen, because I pretty much live on chicken. Pretty much. One of my things that was so hard when I was pregnant, because I am a coffee addict, which of course I minded myself and didn't drink too much. But for the first like 15, 16 weeks with most of them, the entire pregnancy with one of them, I could not handle coffee, the smell, the taste, nothing. And I felt like I had buried my best friend. My wife complains of back pain very often. She's in her third trimester. Is that normal? Should I be concerned about it? So it's normal in a sense because her blood volume, the uterus, the baby is getting so heavy. However, there are things she can do about it. And I would suggest that she maybe start doing some yoga. For my students on here, we have a yoga class for free inside the student community this month. That's just a side note. But ask her to talk to her provider about going to a physical therapist and tell her to find a chiropractor who specializes in pregnancy. Another thing she can do, she can look on the platform here. We've got some videos showing how to do a forward leaning inversion. That is the magical move for a lot of aches and pains. Someone said baby moving feels like a goldfish flopping around. That is such an accurate description. Let's see, few more, and then I am getting off here. Oh, I went past 30 minutes. So sorry. Back pain is unfortunately normal, but you don't have to live with it. There are things you can actively do. All right, you guys, as always, if I missed your question, send me a DM here on Instagram or send us an email. Hopefully you're joining the Fearless Birth Experience. Make sure you join. Like I said, once you join, you'll see my lovely face on a video welcoming you. On that thank you page is a link for the pop-up Facebook group, which is temporary, like little pop-up truck, but where we're having all the fun. I'll be live streaming all the classes. The classes are available the night that they are live until midnight. Then they're gone unless you join on the thank you page as a VIP mama. If you join as a VIP mama, then you're going to get access to the recordings forever. You're going to get a bonus coupon if you decide to take the next step with our birth classes. You're going to get 3 live Zoom calls where I'm going to actually talk to you and hopefully you show your face on video because I have to do it. You have to do it. You don't technically have to. I do. But I'm going to get to know you by name and see where you're at and what you're going through. And you can ask me questions live. And we'll do that 3 times next week. So we can we're doing 2 in the evening and 1 during the day. So if you're watching from Ireland or England or Australia, I have students all over the world. So we are doing one at 11 a.m. on Wednesday so that you can access it as well. All right, let's see. I'm going to answer this last question. I had vaginal delivery. It's been 3 months and I started back pain. What could be the reason? So that might be unrelated, but it could be related to your recovery and how you've been compensating with other pain that has now gone into your back. But I would suggest talking to a physical therapist or talking to your provider. All right, you guys, have a great day. Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Birth Experience with Labor Nurse Mama, where we broke down the second trimester of pregnancy. This was a recording from Instagram that we did live during September. I hope you loved it, and I hope you found some valuable tips and information. We will see you next Friday. As always, hit subscribe and leave a review. Bye for now.